Right, moving along now to our next speaker, which is Ron Carvat. He's going to be doing the successful club series. So the evaluation from for evaluate to motivate. Time is going to be 10 to 15 minutes. Kay, can you go over his time requirements? You might want to unmute yourself.
Sorry, I have too many things going today. I want all the experts to please correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe the 10 to 15 minute speech, the green light comes on at 10, the yellow light comes on at 12 and a half, and the red light comes on at 15 with 30 seconds to wrap it up. Did I get it right, experts? Okay, good. Then good luck, Ron.
All right, so I want to turn it over to Ron. So, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning or good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters, depending on where you're at. As Sal mentioned, this is part of the Successful Club series. It's a valiant effort by Toastmasters International to inculcate us with best practices for us to run our Toastmasters clubs by. And today's entry in the Successful Club series is Evaluate to Motivate. When we think back to when each of us joined Toastmasters, what motivated us to join, more often than not, was to improve ourselves. We didn't just say, I'm a great public speaker, I want to show off my public speaking skills to other people all over the world. No, we said, my public speaking skills have something to leave something to be desired. So I want to join Toastmasters. Now, the cornerstone of Toastmasters is the evaluations, because the evaluations are what motivate us to continue growing. And for instance, when Sophia evaluates me today, I'll learn what still needs to be worked on. So when we think of the importance of evaluations, we have to consider just how important it is and how important it is for us to keep reminding ourselves. So that's my purpose today, is to remind ourselves of the importance of it. And people who have been evaluating for years tend to get into a rut. After a while, you say, oh, that was such a great speech. I can't think of anything. I can't think of any room for improvement. It was so great. But it's so important to motivate people to aspire to new heights. So with that in mind, let's get started on this presentation, Evaluate to Motivate. Evaluations benefit speakers by providing immediate feedback. That is so important because successful commentary helps to reinforce the positive speaking behaviors and assist in focusing on the areas that they need work on. So here they get the immediate feedback. It's important because they have everything fresh in their mind, what they did. They're thinking, well, did I do well on this? They have all these insecurities. Did I do that right? And someone comes along and immediately gives them the feedback that is so helpful. The next thing is offering methods for improvement. Now, the improvement, this comes with the evaluator gives a new sense of perspective. And sometimes when a new person gives an evaluation, that could be just as valuable as when a veteran gives them an evaluation, because it's a different perspective. You see how someone else views your speech, and you'll have an aha moment. You'll think, oh, I should have thought of that. And that's the benefit of having anyone give a good evaluation. And finally, building and maintaining self-esteem. The more you practice speaking, the more self-esteem you'll have. You'll feel more confident in speaking moving forward. So as I'll get into in the future slides, it's important to build someone's self-esteem by saying you did well, but here are some areas for improvement. You want to maintain self-esteem while maintaining the balance of giving effective feedback. So now we'll get into what Toastmasters calls the evaluating by the tell and sell approach. When the evaluator talks, the speaker listens. That is so important. This is a one-way conversation. It's not a two-way conversation. So what are the benefits of that? The benefits of that would be, as you're listening, you're not thinking of what your response is. We all know that when we're in a two-way conversation, the tendency is to focus not on what the speaker is saying, but rather on what your response is going to be. So if it's a one-way conversation, then the person being evaluated just focuses on the evaluator and can get more out of it. The other part of that is that it eliminates chances of digression. And it also helps to move it along, because when you're giving an evaluation, you're limited to just 2 to 3 minutes. And those 2 to 3 minutes just fly by. Now, I can think of a personal story that illustrates this. One time I was so excited about a speech, I had both my speech and my evaluation taped so that I could gain from both of them. And as I was watching the taping of the evaluation, I was aghast. I was giving feedback to the evaluator during his limited 2 to 3 minute evaluation. I was horrified. I'm like, why did I do that? That was so unprofessional. And it cut down on the time that he had to give. So I will never do that again. So when you're being evaluated and you're the evaluatee, just remember to bite your tongue, and you can share your comments later, because it's totally inappropriate to speak while you're being evaluated, as I have learned so well. So now we'll get into the nuts and bolts of the speech today. Before the speech, talk with the speaker about the manual objectives. And that's something that I think is so important, because the evaluator only has 2 to 3 minutes, as I've repeatedly said today. So you want to know what to focus on when you're evaluating. What I like to do, I almost always do this, is I email a copy of the evaluation form to my evaluator the night before. That way the evaluator has a chance to look through the evaluation form and to see what the objectives are and to guide their evaluation accordingly. And I think that is so much more effective than waiting to the club meeting, because, you know, in the old days when we used to actually meet in a room, it was chaos. You know, it was chaotic. You're worried about the room setup and everyone's moving around, and you're trying to meet with your evaluator, and someone gets in your way and starts talking to you, and you don't really have a chance to sit down. So this way, by emailing the evaluator the day before, you get to share what your feelings are about the speech and what you want to get out of it. So you also want to look at the evaluation guidelines. Again, if you have the evaluation in front of you, you can look at it and you can think of what you want to focus on, because like I said, 2 to 3 minutes, and then go over any concerns. It's important that you go over any concerns with the person who's evaluating you, because you want to make sure that there's focus in it. In the quick time they have to evaluate you, you want to make sure that they're focused on the right thing. During the speech, it's important to show that you're interested. One of the ways people do this is by actually sitting in the back of the room to make sure that the person is projecting well enough for you to hear, because if you could hear, people sitting in front of you can hear as well. You want to make sure you put your cell phone away. I know it sounds obvious, but people don't do that. You have to make sure, put your cell phone aside, lean forward, Make sure that you are actually being attentive. You want to look for body language, even facial expressions. You want to make sure that they're doing everything properly. And if you're not fully focused on the speaker, you wouldn't be able to do that. You want to put yourself in the position of this speaker. You want to make sure that you're doing what the speaker would want you to do rather than looking at your phone. Take notes. Now, this is a balance because you want to take copious notes so that you remember what you want to talk about, but you also want to look at the speaker, so you have to balance it. During your evaluation, choose your words carefully. You want to be tactful. You want to stay away from words like you didn't, you should have, you failed to, and focus on how you felt, that what your reaction was, and what your reaction was, and how you felt. You're giving feedback, not advice. Evaluate the speech, not the person. That's crucial, especially if they're giving a controversial topic. If their topic is controversial, put your personal opinions aside. You're evaluating the speech, not the person. Promote self-esteem. You want to make sure that you're saying that, you're providing feedback that's going to build their self-esteem. You have to be tactful. Avoid being disingenuous. So you want to be uplifting, but you have to give room for improvement. Because if you just sugarcoat your speech, they're going to see right through it. They're not going to get anything out of it. In closing, you have to connect to your opening statement. Keep in mind that this is a speech. An evaluation is a speech, especially if any of you who have been to an evaluation contest, they're like mini speeches. So you have to have an opening, a conclusion, where you summarize your key points and give a personal story, such as relating to the speaker, saying, "Oh, I did that too. I'm infamous for doing what you just did." And encourage listeners to apply what they heard and learned and say, I think with just a little bit of improvement and just doing these things that I mentioned today, you'll have a fantastic speech, and I'm looking forward to hearing more speeches. So in conclusion today, I would like to encourage each of you to go to level 1, project number 2, and the third part of it, which is the evaluation part of it, where you learn how to motivate. There's an excellent video on that in level 1, project 2, in the third section, where they give best practices for evaluation. So that's where you really it really turned on the light bulb for me. So in conclusion today, people join Toastmasters because they want to improve. And the best way to improve, the cornerstone for improvement in Toastmasters, is to get good evaluations so you can move forward and make your best speeches possible. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Ron. Thank you for that speech on how to give an evaluation for motivation. I should learn quite a bit. So with that, please pass over all comments. Either you can give it directly to him or his evaluator, who's going to be Sophia.